Welcome and come on in to the home of British motor racing. It's Silverstone, where the Formula One World Championship began back in 1950. And this historic high-speed track remains a challenge for our drivers' courage and determination to this very day. Silverstone is a power circuit. It demands downforce and total confidence in the car for a driver to keep their foot planted through Sector 2, through the high-speed corners at Woodcote and at Copse, and carrying on through Maggots and Beckett's.
Red Bull have outscored their rivals to be at the top of the constructors' table right now. But as round 11 progresses, the fight for the championship is still underway.
Stay with us then as the weekend gets underway.
Yes guys, welcome back to some more F1 Manager 23 exclusive early access gameplay, and today we're going to go through an entire race weekend for the British Grand Prix in a Mercedes career mode save. So we have full control of George Russell and Lewis Hamilton in the home race of Silverstone, and we're going to try and put together a decent weekend and get a good result. Now guys, this is my second video on F1 Manager. I did one the other day racing with the brand new race replay mode at Monaco, so link in the top right, go check that one out first and then come back to this one.
Give us a balance check when you can, balance check. Yeah, copy Lewis.
Now in this video I want to try and show off some of the features of the game, some of the changes in place, and also I'll go quiet to kind of hear certain radios and just, you know, key bits of information that you guys want to listen to in these sort of videos, and we're going to break it all down. So this year there has been a bit of a revamp to the driver setup menu. So as you can see on the right, we now have driver preparation, which is the new kind of, you know, monitor of how confident a driver is with his setup.
And give us a balance check, balance check.
It's really slow.
Copy.
Now this year there is a lot more factors which go into determining a driver's setup confidence, which is now called driver preparation. And basically there's lots of factors and lots of levels which you have to try and hit. And the key one this year, much like F1 23 with my team and career mode, is that the driver now has basically its in-game focus stat, so kind of a confidence feeling rating.
And it was involving Leclerc this time. Barely any room to manoeuvre. And the contact between the cars, inevitable. I imagine their confidence will have taken a knock.
So a big crash to close out practice, and you'll see now what I mean by the new setup changes. So you're going to see the first value, which is driver preparation, which we have in the mid-90s for both drivers. But the new kind of value this year, which is going to be driver confidence, is different. So practice finishes, and you can see here we're looking pretty decent pace-wise. Driver prep 94, 96, and we've got decent stats, but now we're going to see the driver confidence, which is the new value, come into play, and this basically determines if a driver's feeling more inclined to want to push harder, be more aggressive with overtakes, and that sort of stuff.
Welcome to qualifying. Let's find out if all that practice will pay off for the drivers.
There are 3 periods of qualifying ahead of the drivers now. Remember, only the fastest 10 will make it through to Q3 for a shot at pole position.
Karun, if we could perhaps talk about Lewis for a moment. How do you think he's feeling?
Well, Crofty, here is a driver who's just oozing confidence right now. We could see the impact it's having, and I'm sure that'll carry through to qualifying.
Let the competition commence.
So, good old-fashioned Silverstone, rainy weather and intermediates to start off the qualifying session. The forecast though is going to dry up. So, as you can see, we skipped to the last 2 minutes and we sent our drivers out last on the dry tyre. The weather forecast you can see on the right side, about 0.8 Waltron track, so it's just underneath the intermediate range, so it's better to be on a dry tyre.
So you've taken the flag.
And yeah, here we are then. Checkered flag drops and we're currently on laps with the only 2 cars left to set a lap time. And yeah, we're going to see if we get through. Right now Russell is in the drop zone, Lewis is safe, but we're going to basically get the lap in anyway with both drivers just to see what kind of pace we're looking at here. So making our way into Sector 3 now. George will cross the line first, Lewis behind, so Lewis will get the best track conditions as the track is holding around that 0.8 mark. Across the line, George up into P3, so that gets safety, and also Hamilton now in the drop zone. as we make our way up to the line, and he's going to move up into P5. So there we go, both drivers through, and we're into Q2 with the rain still falling. But yeah, job done. Good session, and I felt like we had a good car. Honestly, the car felt like it was running at a pretty good pace, and we had a bit more pace up our sleeve. Verstappen setting the pace, both McLarens out in Q1. That was the big shock, the big scalp in qualifying. But yeah, Q2 time. Now, as you can see, we have rain possibly inbound. So we went out with the first runs with everybody else, and you can see here both drivers on softs. Track is bone dry. Across the line, bank a lap from George, purple sector 3 and goes P1.
So that's currently P1.
And there goes Hamilton, briefly up into P1, and then eventually the Ferraris.
Yeah, just raining at the moment.
Copy.
The Ferraris took over, and the rain basically made its way down. So that was it. Those were the only drive runs we got in Q2, and you can see Ferrari looking pretty strong, Verstappen P6, and yeah, we're chilling right now as we comfortably make it to Q3. So, same scenario, Q3 started out bone dry, but rain inbound, so we had to get the lap in early, and yeah, this is going to be our one and only attempt in this session as the rain is inbound any second. Russell, for now, goes provisional pole.
Currently P1.
Up to the line, Hamilton takes that P1 away by 0.06 of a second. Alonso third. Sainz moves to P1 as the rain starts to fall.
Currently P2. That's a good lap. So box and pull the car.
Yep. Got some rain.
Okay, copy.
And there we go. Pretty much within an instant, the rain fell down and it made its presence felt. Only Sainz got a quick lap in, but he's got a grid drop. So that means, unless it's like a one-place grid drop or a two-place, it's going to be a front row lockout. So we achieve a 1-2 in qualifying in the British Grand Prix for Mercedes-Benz, which is awesome for Lewis and George. So the absolute best possible result in that qualifying session. And now we're going to set up the strategy for the race accordingly. And yeah, we're going to basically put both drivers on a medium to hard tyre strap, which leaves it open the two-stopper for a possible soft instead of a hard. But yeah, happy with that.
The British Grand Prix is nearly upon us. The drivers composing themselves on the grid ahead of 52 laps around Silverstone. This could be a big race for that man right there, Lewis Hamilton.
They're on pole and it's well deserved. I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do.
And it looks like we're good to go. Anticipation is high, and the drivers are ready for this. The British Grand Prix. It's lights out, and away we go.
Right then, into the race and off the line, Sergio Perez with a great start as he gets the jump, or tries to get the jump on Russell. Instead, Russell fights back, and now side by side with Lewis, down to the first couple of corners here. Both Mercedes free to race as we're all on the medium tyres here out front, and then we've got Perez on softs, Alonso on soft, Gasly up into P4. Hamilton though comes out on top and holds on.
Use the overtake.
Understood.
Down to turn number 5, Perez gets through on George, and Hamilton now the sole.
So happy to push now.
The sole Merc up front. So yeah, both of our boys are going to have to deal with Checo now on the softest. Russell now tries to fight back, but Perez
Push and hold it, overtake.
Copy.
with the exit, and he's now challenging Hamilton, and we've seen this before. Mercedes, Red Bull side by side through cops, and they make it through, no issues, no damage, and still side by side into Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel as the AI go all out here early on in this race, and the fans surely will be loving the show as they kick out onto the hangar straight. Hamilton comes out on top, and for now holds on to P1 in this race with George in P3. And yeah, a decent start so far considering we're on the medium tyre. So yeah, keeping the faster soft tyre runners at bay for now. Yellow flags, lap 2.
There's a yellow flag now. So we're heading now into turn 5. Whoa, and around they spin. And ultimately, just unable to bring the car under control. Let's see what happened there. Now this is Sergio Perez. Can they squeeze by?
So then, Verstappen has a huge spin, which could rule him out of the race contention unless there's a safety car. And in the meantime, in the background, Perez also got past Hamilton on the next lap in the exact same location. So Checo out front now, Hamilton second, and Russell starts to drop back. So lap 9, Hamilton stayed in Perez's DRS. Russell couldn't quite keep up. You can see the driver confidence there is high on both drivers. Lewis has got a bit more confidence than George, I would say. And yeah, I was trying to get Russell to close in and get within DRS, but it just wasn't happening. Then we had a bit of a pack of cars behind with the Alpines and Alonso, and then further back both Ferraris in there with Sargent up in P7 and Nico Hulkenberg. Russell fast up at the Grand Prix trying to get him to catch up to the front two, but I just couldn't close the gap. And yeah, we used up a lot of the reserves on Russell's car and it wasn't really working. Now then, Perez's softs are starting to fade and Hamilton smells blood on lap 11 and the medium tyre is now the better compound. So Lewis is starting to cook as he gets past and overtakes Perez for the race lead and returns the favour. So attention now on Russell to turn this. As you'll see, we tried to basically make some adjustments to basically try and see if we can close the gap to Perez. Hamilton has broken DRS, so Hamilton's out front by himself using the tyre advantage, and Russell is now really starting to close here on Checo. So we're trying to get the teamwork underway here and trying to work together. And yeah, you can see we're just making adjustments, trying to see if we can get this to work. And you'll see Russell gradually chip away at Checo and make the gap smaller and smaller and smaller. And also the bad news is that we're running quite low on fuel, no battery left whatsoever, but the gap is still closing, and this is really, really good for us. You can see also Russell is going through his tyres a bit more.
Let's give it everything we got. Copy.
But yeah, we'll see now on to lap 14, and George 1.5, 1.4, 1.3 closing. He might just get some DRS here. There is a detection point, and no, it's 1.1, so George just misses out. And this was the key point. We needed to catch up here, and we didn't. And then you'll see Checo just basically now open up a gap because Russell's got nothing left in the chamber. His tyres are hot, no ERS left in the battery. And yeah, pretty much after that, Checo pit, lap 16. And we're now going to get the pit stop action. So it looks like Checo's on a 2-stopper as he heads onto the medium, whereas we're going to be probably 1-stopping with our boys. So yeah, let's see how this all kind of pans out as the pit stop phase gets underway. Meanwhile, Hamilton very comfortable up front, and to the point where I tried to turn him down pace-wise, and I turned George back up. My objective here was to get George up to Lewis so that he could sit in Hamilton's DRS, and then once in DRS he can save fuel, which he's very low on now, save battery, and also save some tyres because he's put a lot of damage into them, and basically work as a team. And you'll see here the gap actually came down to about 1.2. Hamilton in full conserve mode right now, and George did a good job, and he has now got himself in DRS range. So at this point I put Lewis onto somewhat of a push mode here to kind of pick up the pace again, as we don't want to ruin our race, and I'm hoping Russell can hang on. However, it wasn't the case. Literally within the space of a sector, Hamilton just pulled away easily. Russell couldn't keep up, and that's when I knew it was time to probably consider a pit stop, because yeah, we just were struggling with George a lot. Hamilton just was faster on the day, had more confidence, so you could notice it, and he was just doing better, getting more out of the car. So
box.
we called George into the pits, and he's going to head on to the hard compound tyre and go to the end. So yeah, 25 laps out of 52. That's pretty decent, and we'll bring Lewis in on the very next lap to keep it fair. And yeah, no need to take any risk on tyres or strategy. So you can see third fastest up of the race there with George. So good stuff, 2.3, and he rejoins just ahead of Alonso, which is important and very, very key. 1 lap later, Hamilton then follows in, and we're going to see what Mercedes can do for him in terms of pit stop as Lewis hits his marks, and it's going to be a 2.4, so not as good as George's stop, but still decent enough. And yeah, Lewis will rejoin, and it looks like it's going to be just ahead of Leclerc, over the 4th best stop of the race, but Leclerc right behind and on nice warm tyres, putting the pressure on. And in this pit stop phase, Ferrari actually got themselves right back in the race. They cleared some of that slower traffic, the Alpines, the Aston Martin, Sargent, Hulkenberg.
Cars are okay.
Surface temps are still cool all round.
At the last turn of club, there's the opening.
And literally, as we just cut away to that highlight, Leclerc actually overtook Hamilton on the soft tyre. And then we saw Sainz, who was really quick, also overtake George Russell. So out front, you can see Leclerc's on a 29% soft, so he's really struggling on tyres now. But the Ferrari's pretty quick. Either way, Hamilton is going to probably get by naturally, although now Leclerc actually bails into the pits. And same story for Russell, really. Sainz should be in soon, as that Ferrari should be struggling on tyres, and that should allow Russell through. Perez is also pit. You can see he's on a soft tyre, so he's done his second stop of the race, and he's going to the end now on softs as Leclerc has a pit stop issue.
Karun Chandol, talk us through this one.
Ferrari's team prepared for the stop. But the car isn't released properly.
And there we get our first showcase of the new pit stop errors in this year's game, which can be a key factor and might actually really hurt you or help you depending on the scenario. Sainz though does pit, and that is once again a Mercedes 1-2. Checo though is absolutely flying on the softs, but at this point he got past Russell easily and now chases Hamilton.
Right then, we can take a look now. It's the Red Bull driver. It's certainly inviting.
And we'll see Checo here close and get alongside and pass Russell. But Hamilton, as I was saying before, had a lot more in the reserve tank, and Checo got the gap down to 1.7, 1.6 maybe. But then we started to push with Lewis, and yeah, we did a good job of managing things. Gap now down to 1.6, maybe 1.5 even. But I started to basically tell Lewis to pick up the pace a bit. And Lewis, again with the driver confidence, was able to answer. And he would just basically start to stretch that gap. Again, at this point, Checo's softs aren't really fresh anymore. The kind of tyre crossover was in effect. And yeah, Lewis managed to manage the gap, whereas Russell wasn't quite as good. And again, we were still kind of managing with George a bit more with the lack of battery and fuel. So Sainz went through and overtake George for P3. So yeah, Russell off the podium, which is a real shame. But besides that, good management, and things were looking pretty decent on the Lewis side of things, and I reckon we can bring this one home as we skip on to the last lap of the race. You can see Hamilton has kept the gap to Perez. Perez now on his soft tyres, doesn't really have any pace left, and Sainz is trying to chase, who's been super quick all day, faster than Leclerc, but is going to run out of time and laps. And Russell also looks like he's going to hold on to P4 and stay ahead of Leclerc as Hamilton wins the British Grand Prix on home soil from start to finish. And now we're going to see George, who's going to bring home P4.
Awesome race, mate.
This is an amazing result for everybody.
And there we go, good old-fashioned Lewis radio victory, and it's a 1-4 for Mercedes. Russell not quite on pace today, which is a bit of a shame, but we got the job done.
Checker flag is out, but that's P4.
That was very good today.
Cheers.
Yeah, good job.
And there we go, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We had a very tight window to get this recorded, actually. And yeah, like I said in the last episode, I had some issues, so I had to kind of speed run this a little bit, so I had to rush through it a bit, so apologies. But good fun, really enjoyed it, and yeah, hopefully you guys liked it. So leave a like and subscribe for more. As always, a big shout out to the members. Check out the 2 videos on screen, and I'll see all of you very soon for some more F1 Manager content. Until then, take care, and it's goodbye from me.